Hello student. In this first part of the video, I am going to explain the rise of nationalism in Europe, that is chapter 1 of History class 10. Now first we will see the sum up of this chapter topic wise topic. But the first we will start with the introduction. See, when we talk about the introduction, we will see here that the chapter starts with the picture, and this picture is a dream of the Frederick Zero that is titled The Dream of the Worldwide Democratic and Social Republics and published in the year 1848. This year marked that the spread of nationalism in the Europe, and as we see the picture that it has spread to the rest of the part of the Europe, and it ended the autocratic rule or absolutist institution. That's why it was also known as utopian vision, because that time it was a dream, it was not a reality. When we interpret the picture's theme, we will see that the people of a different ages and denomination of a color are having different flags symbolizes nation, and their costume symbolizes inhabitant of their different nation. They are marching toward the Statue of Liberty, which is a female figure, and paying tribute and paying homage to becoming a nation state. Two flags has already been passed, United States of America and Switzerland, and rest are in the process of becoming a nation state. And we see at the foreground, we see that there is a dead remains of the absolutist institution. It means there was a no monarchical system, monarchical regime at the time. So all these seems a visualization, all these seems a dream, not the reality. Hence, the vision of the Frederick Suro, which was created in his picture, is referred as a utopian, and here he visualize that the people are very much eager to create their state as a nation state, becoming a democratic one, and ending the absolutist institution and monarchy. Now, when we talk about the word nation state, see, first, when we turn the page, in this next page, we will see here that the concept of the nation state was explained, and then we will also show later on we will see that the concept of the modern state, because ultimate the aim of this chapter is to know how the people started having a feeling of love, affection, patriotism about their nation, that is the nationalism, and how they are able to create a nation state. But before that, what is a nation state? See, when we define nation state, it is the a kind nation state is the one in which the majority of its citizens and not only its ruler came to develop a sense of common identity and shared history or descent. It means it was a geographical unit under which the rulers were elected, and the people together with, instead of multi-dynastic, they feel common, collective as a one nation. So the idea of the nation and with the feature of a state together with merge as a nation state. Now, by the passing of the time, this concept idea of nation state get matured, and finally a modern state come into existence in which a centralized power exercise sovereign control over a clear defined territory. Now the flags have been cleared, the boundary has been demarked, and the system become a more mature and centralized and democratic setup had been established, so that resulted as a modern state. For example, in India, when we take the example of India, in the year 1947, India became a nation state, and by the maturing of the phases, it became more centralized administrative centers, administrative reforms, and with the more centralization, it becomes India become a modern state now. Now, all these how come into existence. So step by step we will see how the idea of nation state instead of absolutist institution or monarchy come into existence. Now first we will see that the first unit is the French Revolution and the idea of nation. It means the idea of nation first emerged with the French Revolution. It means the concept of the nation state, or we see the example of a nation state, first we will visualize in the France, and later it will spread to the rest of the part of the Europe. See, when we talk about the French Revolution, as we know, it started in the 1789, and with the effort of the French revolutionaries, they were able to create a idea of the collective sense of belonging. So, in the first topic, we will see that the French revolutionaries introduced various measures and practices that could create a sense of collective identity amongst the French people. So, when we see the page is page number 3 of and the first see the idea and concept of the la patrie, that is the fatherland, la citizen, the citizen. All these emphasizes the notion of a united community enjoying equal right under a constitution. So they started visualizing that equal rights, equal constitution. Not only this, a new French flag, that is a tricolor, and all these symbol was that instead of royal standard, they choose as their own kind of norms or kind of symbol. And we have not only this, we will see that the state general, which was a symbolic institution for during the absolutist regime monarchy, replaced by the National Assembly because it was elected by the common people. And not only this, we will also see that equal law, uniform laws for the citizens, then the internal custom duties were also abolished, uniform system of weight and measures, the French as a national language. So all these efforts together which created a collective sense of belonging amongst all the French people, and finally we will see that they were able to replace monarchy and establish the democratic system, revolutionary government, and but we will see later on. Despite of these success and efforts, we see that they were not able to establish the system, new system of the democracy for long. Democratic system or the rule of constitution could not survive for long. We see that the democratic system or the directory rule could not work, and finally the people were feeling that anarchical position, and they were thinking a savior who could come and save France from this misery. And in this scenario, we see that there is the emergence of Napoleon, who was a very belongs to the common people, but finally become ambitious. And we see that by the year 1804, Napoleon was able to become an emperor of France. And once he became an emperor of France, he issued certain rules and regulations which is known as Civil Code of 1804, and it is also known as Napoleonic Code, which did away privilege based on birth, established equality before law, and secured the right to property. So we see that this course exposed to the reason this act was not only limited to the France but also spread to the colonial the colonies in which Napoleon annexed. Not only this, in the administrative field, Napoleon simplified the process and abolished the feudal system, freed peasants from the serfdom, manorial dues, and in town the guild restriction were also removed, which give the freedom to the new middle class, especially the business class, to move from one place to another place or set up a business in the towns. So we see that all these reforms finally benefited the middle class, and it established a new thinking of economic freedom, economic development, and the emergence of the new middle class who was like, and Napoleon was understood as a harbinger or harbinger of liberty, but we see that initial enthusiasm could not remain for long and soon entered to the hostility. Now we will see once Napoleon became the ruler for the long in the French area, not only French area but the territories also. We have seen he started introducing or curtailing the political freedom side by side. People were not allowed to criticize Napoleon, when they do, sometimes, most of the time, they are being punished. The increased taxation also increase the miseries of the common people. Then the censorship, then forced conscription for the army. Lots of people were being recruited without their will. All these turned anger against the Napoleon, and these activities soon uh, uh, the people enthusiasm or people support for earlier turned against the Napoleon. So we see that during the period we have seen Napoleon in the later period we have seen Napoleon became the unpopular and unfavorable policies of the Napoleon soon turned people turned against the Napoleon, and finally we have seen that the end of Napoleonic regime in the year 1815 during the Battle of Waterloo, because the composite monarchies forces together with fight against the Napoleon, and finally Napoleon was defeated and captured and sent where he was died. And this is the ending of the Napoleonic regime, and we see that conservative forces once again became active with the Treaty of Vienna, and they were able to rule over the France for next 15 years. Thank you.